Good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome to our Swords Travel and AmaWaterways presentation this evening. We really wanted to do something with Ama because myself and Stuart and a few of the team went on AmaWaterways about 2 years ago now in Budapest. We went on a conference and their ships are amazing. 5-star luxury river cruise experience, but one of the things that really stood out to me about AmaWaterways cruises was the size of the cabins, the standard of the food, and also completely changed my perception of what I thought a river cruise would be. Now, we weren't lucky enough to actually go sailing. We actually only stayed in Budapest, but it was still great to see the ships. But tonight, we're going to hear a lot more about when you're actually sailing on board Ama, what do you get to experience. We've got Joanne and Dragon from AmaWaterways Cruises who are going to lead you through the presentation this evening. They're going to give you lots of inspiration and hopefully inspire you to want to book an AmaWaterways cruise in the future. So that's it from me for now. I'm going to be with the presentation watching along, so I'm quite intrigued to see what you guys are going to be talking about. So I'm going to hand you over to Joanne now, who's our Business Development Manager for AmaWaterways.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks so much. Thanks for having us along. Good evening, everyone. I hope you're having a lovely evening, and thanks so much for joining us. It's great to see so many of you on. I don't know whereabouts you all are in the world, but I'm up in Skipton in North Yorkshire. And I know that the Swords Travel head office down in Wimbledon, it's not too far from our head office, so the Ama office is down in Guildford in Surrey, so not too far from Swords Travel HQ. And it's an honour to be sort of working in conjunction with Swords Travel tonight. I know Mark won't want to show off, but they've been winning a few awards recently for #1 travel agencies here, there and everywhere. And so we're delighted to be able to team up with them and present our amazing river cruise product to you. Before I move on, I just want to introduce a very, very special guest. Dragan, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Great to be here.
Dragan is one of our very own AmaWaterways cruise managers. So he is usually, or not so much for the last year or so, working as a cruise manager on board our ships on the rivers of Europe. And so there's no better person to bring to life the experience on board a river cruise ship and also give you lots of interesting inspiration for various destinations that we sail to as well. So Dragan, thanks so much for joining us. I know you're out in Mallorca at the moment, where your home is, so no doubt all us people in the audience will be jealous of probably the warmer climates. But it's great to have you, and we'll hear from Dragan shortly when I've just done a quick introduction. So just a couple of bits of housekeeping really quickly. We can't see you at home, so don't worry. It doesn't matter what you're wearing, what your hair looks like, we can't see you. You should just be able to see us and hear us, and you should also be able to see the presentation slides as we're talking as well. If at any point you do want to ask any questions though, because of course you can ask us anything you want, you can just type your question in the question box on your side panel and we'll reference those. We'll have a quick Q&A session at the end. And the session is being recorded, so if any reason your Wi-Fi drops off or you need to run and sort your dinner out in the oven, then it is being recorded, so we can send the recording on to you, or the team at Swords can send it on to you tomorrow. So without further ado, I think we'll get going. And firstly, I suppose it's just best to set the scene about who AmaWaterways are. I know that a couple of you on the cruise event tonight have river cruise, some others haven't. But potentially you haven't heard of us at AmaWaterways. We're really not, I guess, that kind of mainstream household name when it comes to river cruise, but it's just because we've got this really kind of unique hidden gem factor. We've really got this exclusivity about us in that we're only available to book and only marketed through travel agents. So you'd only really hear about us through your local travel agent, hence tonight you're hearing about us through Swords Travel. So, you know, we're not on the TV or in the news or in the national newspapers, or so we're kind of got this hidden gem of the river cruise world. And a big part of who we are is our family-owned operation as well. So this really makes the company what it is, and it gives that very relaxed ambience on board when you step on board our ships. Rudy Schreiner, Christine Cast and Gary Murphy are our inspirational owners and leaders, and between them they've been building up our incredible kind of overall brand and product since 2002, so over 18 years now. And we really sort of talk about the family-owned side of things a lot, because especially cruise companies, as they grow and get bigger and more ships come on, it can be quite easy to lose that sort of personal touch and, you know, and not fall into that trap of kind of just, you know, churning ships and losing that individual stamp that makes the company so special. What Rudy, Christine and Gary have been able to maintain is this really personalised, family-owned experience, almost like you're stepping inside a sort of 5-star boutique bed and breakfast, you know, a family-owned bed and breakfast. That's always the feel I get when you're going on board, and you really feel like you are not, you know, just another passenger on a ship, but really a guest on that cruise, and yeah, part of a family, as maybe corny as that sounds, but it really is such a warm atmosphere thanks to the way that Rudy, Christine and Gary have developed our business. So anyway, we could talk about Rudy, Christine and Gary a lot, couldn't we, Dragan? They're amazing characters, but I best move on. We've got 25 ships, so a really huge fleet. I think a lot of people assume that AmaWaterways are quite a small company, just because we're not perhaps as well known to the public eye, but no, 25 ships sailing across Europe, Asia, where we have a ship as well, on the Mekong River. We've got a very special ship on the Chobe River in South Africa, which is something we'll probably cover in a future event, but it's a safari cruise on the Chobe River. And then also brand new for this year, we have a Nile cruise as well in Egypt on our brand new ship, the Amadalia. So, but today is all about Europe, and the majority of our fleet are in Europe. We're actually most well known for having the highest rated fleet in Europe. So I know it's very easy to kind of say, oh, you know, we're 5-star, we've got this and that, but you always need something, I know, to back it up and to show people, you know, why you are what you're saying you are. And the award that we're most proud of is our rankings in the Berlitz River Cruise Guide. So hopefully you've heard of Berlitz. If not, it's a very, very well established, highly renowned sort of ranking encyclopedia, so to speak. So there's Berlitz guides for everything, hotels, restaurants, ocean cruise ships, destinations themselves, city breaks, you name it, there's a Berlitz rating for it. But in the river cruise world, out of the 310 river cruise ships rated in the Berlitz guide, AmaWaterways have unbelievably the number 1, 2 and 3 spots. So Ama Christina that you see there is the number 1 highest rated ship in Europe, and I believe we also have, we don't stop at number 1, 2 and 3, we've also got numbers 6, 7 and 9 or something like that as well. So it's a great overall rating of our wonderful products. It's not just the ship, it's everything. It's the cuisine, the customer service, the staff to guest ratio, the facilities, the inclusions, you name it, it's rated. So we're really, really pleased with that, and there really is no better judgment than the Berlitz. So yeah, that's what we're most well known for, and I'm sure that at some point in the next couple of years we'll endeavour to get all those top 10 spots as well. So I'm just going to take you through and sort of explain the experience on board, show you through some images of the actual ships as well, because they are stunning. But we have really such an innovative ship design, and that's all down to Rudy. Rudy, our owner, is very, very hands-on when it comes to the design of the ships, the layouts, you name it, everything to do with creating, building and getting that ship out onto the water Rudy has that covered. And so our ships have been recognised as really being leading the way in the river cruise industry. Anything from 102 guests, which are our smaller ships down on the Douro River in Portugal, up to 196 guests, which is our largest river cruise ship, and that's a very special ship that we have on the Danube, which we're actually going to talk to you about because it's very, very unique as well. So really low guest numbers, great accommodation facilities as well in terms of balconies, and I've got a few pictures to show you. World-class cuisine. Again, I mean, I think when a lot of people are choosing a river cruise product, cuisine is a big one, as it is with any cruise or even any hotel or resort stay. You know, I think a lot of people would agree, if the food is not up to scratch, it has an effect on your whole holiday, the whole enjoyment of your holiday, and you always remember, oh, you know, that's that trip where the food wasn't great. Well, there's no chance of that with AmaWaterways. Let me reassure you on that one. So much so that we're members of the Chaîne de Rôtisseurs, which is a very prestigious French gastronomic society, and your cuisine has to reach a certain level of culinary acumen before you're endorsed into this club. So we are members of that. World-class cuisine without a doubt. We cater for all different tastes and palates and dietary requirements, whatever it is, and allergies, you know, whatever it is, we can adapt. Our chefs in the kitchens have so much experience, and we can really do anything, you know, required to meet your taste, even if it's the case of, you know, having just something a little bit more simple or plainer, or something without spice, or you don't like fish, you know, anything like that we can do. So we're really well renowned for our dining, and Mark will back me up on that because he's had a couple of meals on board, I think, when he was with us in Budapest a couple of years ago. And then last but not least, our active discovery program. So we've really been pioneers of making a river cruise a much more active choice, you know, a much more active experience, sorry, with more choice. And with this choice, which, by the way, is all included, we include all our shore excursions, it opens up a river cruise to cater for more interests, you know, wider interests, wider activity levels. We appreciate that not all 160 guests want to go on the same walking tour to that, you know, to the same cathedral at the same time. Someone might want to do something a bit more active, like a bike tour. Someone might want to go off and do their own free time. Somebody else might want to do something like wine tasting, which would maybe be my choice. So a really, really well established and put together active discovery program. We kind of refer to this more now than a shore excursion program. And of course we do still have your sort of walking tours of cities and towns, etc., but we have so much more around it as well to cater for all your different interests and activity levels. So you can spend a week hiking and biking if you want, and doing yoga with our onboard wellness experts, or you can spend a week wine tasting and relaxing, or you can do a bit of both, you know. So the sky's the limit. You can really tailor make your cruise with AmaWaterways, and it's all included. So anyway, let me show you some pictures of our stunning ship. So this is actually the Ama Christina, and this is an example of the lounge area, the sort of main lounge and bar. And every single one of our ships is slightly different, not layout, but in terms of decor and style. So this particular ship is the Ama Christina, our #1 highest rated ship, and is named after Christine Karst, one of our owners who I showed you earlier. And it's a real sort of home from home, relaxed atmosphere with the decor. You know, you step inside and you instantly get this relaxed feeling. You know, you feel like you could go into the lounge and put your feet up on the sofa. It's that relaxing. So it's a really, really beautiful feeling when you step on board. Here's an example of our main restaurant. I believe this is the Ama Prima I think, or it could be the Christina, I'm not sure. But this is our open dining main restaurant where breakfast, lunch and dinner is served. And it's really nice and open and airy. We have windows there with the blinds, so it's not a very, very enclosed restaurant. Lots of different table sizes, and also our dining arrangements as we enter this kind of new era of travel, so to speak, we actually think will be really enhanced. We're going to take away most of that, well, in fact, all of that self-service buffet situation at breakfast and lunches. So we'll still have action stations where you can get your fresh omelettes cooked and your eggs to order and your eggs benedict and things like that. But we'll take away the actual, you know, going up to the buffet and self-serving food. And we actually think that it will be a better dining experience. I know Rudy has said on many calls with us all over the last months that if you went to any 5-star restaurant, you know, wherever it was, the last thing you'd probably expect is to get up and go and help yourself to food. You would expect that 5-star experience to be, you know, served to you, or you will order what you like and it comes to you. So we actually think this experience will be more in line with the 5-star level that we're providing. We also have a fantastic alternative dining venue. This is on all of our ships, the Chef's Table restaurant, and you can't see this. Stupidly, I've chosen a picture with the curtains closed, but it's actually at the aft of the ship, and they're panoramic floor-to-ceiling windows. And the Chef's Table restaurant holds under 30 guests. It's a 7-course fine dining taster menu in there. And as you can see, the kitchen is actually in there. Our chefs prepare and serve the cuisine right from the kitchen. And it's a wonderful experience. It's all included. There's no supplement to dine in there. And it's just a really nice kind of thing to do once or twice during your cruise for a special occasion, or even just, you know, to experience it whilst you're there. And the food is just incredible. I won't give too much away about the experience in there, but you will not be disappointed. So that's the Chef's Table restaurant, and it's on all of our ships. And when the curtains are open and you're sailing along and you've got the floor-to-ceiling windows and the river, it's just absolutely beautiful as well. There's no better view to enjoy whilst you're eating your dinner in the evening. And then the accommodation, so this is an example of the twin balcony staterooms that I mentioned before. This is an upgraded stateroom. This is not our leading grade. We of course have loads of different types of accommodations, starting from the fixed window staterooms on the lower deck up to cabins with a French balcony. And then you'll have the twin balcony stateroom like this, but it's definitely our most popular. Because you've got the inside balcony with the floor-to-ceiling windows that open up, but the chairs are actually inside, and then also a physical step-out open-air balcony as well, where you're actually physically sitting outside. It really creates a lot of floor space inside as well, having the extra balcony, and we've got beautiful marble bathrooms with walk-in rainfall showers as well. And in terms of facilities, you get the same in all, no matter what accommodation grade you book with us, whether it's a fixed window or an owner's suite. You get the, you know, the robes, the luxury slippers, the toiletries in the bathrooms and everything like that. So it really is the size of the stateroom, and I guess the style of window that is the difference between our accommodations. But you will get all those extra luxury treats no matter what grade you book as well. And a really great feature, unique, and one of my favourite things about the ships are our heated sun deck swimming pools. So the sun deck area itself, it's an amazing area where you can go up, relax. There's chairs, sun lounges, tables, and then at the forward end there's this pool. It's heated. There's actually a bar at the end as well, so you can enjoy drinks or a coffee in the pool. And yeah, it's great all year round. And it's actually, for those of you that have river cruise, you perhaps know that it's really unusual to have a swimming pool on the top deck of a river cruise ship. So when we're sailing along the rivers and we go past some of our friendly competitors on the rivers. All their guests are looking over going, oh, that one's got a pool, who are they? We'll go with them next time. So it really is a nice feature to have on board our ships. So that brings me on to, hopefully that's kind of painted a picture of the experience, but I mean, all the kind of tangible things aside, like the staterooms, etc., and the pool, the absolutely ultimately the one thing that sets us apart from everyone else, and it's kind of got to be seen to be believed, but it's definitely our extraordinary crew and cruise managers. And it's just like I said, I mean, Dragon, it does have to be seen to be believed, isn't it? The crew on board our ships are really what makes it for a lot of people, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And it's like you said, it's hard to obviously, what we say and what you actually experience when you're cruising with us. But we're 100% sure that either we absolutely meet exactly that what we said, or it's going to be above and beyond. Our crew, as with many of them, are like more than 10 years with us already. They keep coming back, cruising with us within that great company, and providing just outstanding service is amazing.
It really is. And in terms of your sort of role as a cruise manager, Dragon, I mean, you've heard me use this phrase every time I've done a presentation with you, but I see you as the glue that holds everything together. And again, I say it all the time, but cruise managers don't sleep, they don't eat. You just make that week an unforgettable week for everyone on board. I mean, what is a day in the life of a cruise manager like?
I think if we would go through a whole day, that might take up our time for the webinar. But in a few short sentences, as cruise managers, first of all, we're there from the very beginning of your journey to the very end. It might sometimes, and we'll get to that, have pre and post land programs, which we join already, like on the Danube, maybe in Prague or in Budapest, and so on. So we will be there from the very beginning. And we are just there for all our guests, for literally everything. Of course, we have, like you said, the glue, we're the connection point between the nautical team, the captain, our hotel team, and we provide lectures, entertainment, all the tours will be run through your cruise manager. And then literally any question you have, I always like to call our colleagues, or my colleagues and me, you're on board Google if you forgot your phone. So we'll give you commentary along the rivers, and any requests you have. And this is the one thing we always like to say, we can't read minds yet, we're working on this, but any question you have, any requests you have, we're more than happy to make it happen.
And one thing actually that I want to let everyone know, so I've seen Dragan in action. He was my cruise manager on board when I sailed with my mum a couple of years ago. And it was quite a big sailing. It was the maiden voyage of our ship on the Danube, the AmaMagna, which I'm going to share with you. And it was the first sailing. And so, there was a lot to do. Dragan, it was kind of the first time anyone had been on board. And he did not break a sweat. He did not. He was just so chilled, so relaxed, like working 24 hours a day. But I don't think I even saw you with a raised temperature or anything. You probably were inside. But yeah, and it's the same with all our cruise managers. They are that kind of person that is on board, relaxed, positive, happy, there for you. If there's anything that you're not happy with, or anything that you want to know, or any issues, or you need advice on shore excursions, you name it, like Dragan said, that's your person. And we do pride ourselves on having the best cruise managers in the industry, and we're very proud to say it, and we don't even mind showing off about it. So
Watching now a little bit.
And like Dragan said, our whole entire crew, just absolutely incredible service. And it's that, for those of you that like the luxury, but without that sort of almost fussiness that you can sometimes get with a luxury product, the service is very very professional and attentive, but it's not in your face. It's very relaxed, and Our crew will learn your name very quickly and pick up what your favourite drink is, and kind of that will be on the bar. You know, they'll see you walk in and then suddenly your favourite cocktail appears on the bar. It's that kind of service, and it's just unbelievable. So yeah, but the only way to find out for sure that what we're saying is true is, of course, to join us on board one of our ships at some point in the future. And then just very quickly, and then I'm going to actually pass the Dragan to take us through some destinations with you. But just a summary of what's included. I've actually mentioned a couple of these, but all the dining, like I said, breakfast, lunch, dinner, everything in between, whether that's snacks, afternoon tea, daily tapas menus, that's all included. With drinks, we actually include wine, beer and soft drinks free flowing during lunch and dinner, as well as tea, coffee and water. That's completely complimentary for 24 hours a day. And then we've actually also introduced the complimentary sip and sail cocktail hour as well. And this has been a really nice enhancement to our drinks inclusions. So basically no matter what cruise you're on or what ship, every single evening before dinner, so say about 6 o'clock, but just give you a tip, if you get up there a little bit early, then, you know, sip and sail kind of starts as soon as you get in the bar. Then soft drinks, cocktails as well, pre-dinner spirits, all included just before dinner. And it's usually the really sort of nice time during the day where you're perhaps sailing towards the next port of call. Your cruise manager will be doing a port talk on the next day's activities and shore excursions. And we have canapes and things like that. And it's a really nice sociable hour. You can go up on the sun deck as well if you want to. That's included. All your Wi-Fi, of course, that's something that we really wanted to include, complimentary, so there's no charge for you to keep in touch with your loved ones and send everyone lots of pictures, making everyone jealous back home. The wellness program, which I didn't actually speak a lot about, but it's intertwined into our active discovery program, and on all our ships in Europe now we have a wellness host on board, and they're offering this incredible program of complimentary health and wellness activities. So that could be anything from yoga, stretching classes, jogs on the sun deck in the morning, sort of post-lunch or post-dinner walks, and all sorts of things. One of the most popular ones is our champagne yoga session, which is very early in the morning but can be very good fun, depending on how many glasses you have. It's a good one, that, isn't it, Dragan? And yeah, we have fun with it. It's a very subtle program. It's there if you want. It's not something that you're going to be, you know, there's not going to be someone knocking on your stateroom door at 7 o'clock in the morning saying, come up to the sun deck for stretching, you know, not at all. It's in the daily cruiser program that you get in your stateroom every day, tells you what times the activities will be happening, and if you want to do it, you can just go along and do it. But it's really, really popular, and I think, Dragan, we find that our guests kind of warm up to the idea of the wellness as the week goes on, don't we? You sort of...
Absolutely. Yeah, well, we usually have quite an incline in participants in the, well, I think because people also start to talk, and we have our wellness hosts are great characters, really, and all kinds of classes, like you said, even sometimes like line dancing classes or salsa classes, Zumba. If the weather is great, we'll love doing it on the sun deck, especially during summertime, spring, and so on. And it gets more and more. We need to look out for space, especially if it happens inside.
Yeah, no, they're really, really good fun, and you know, I guess with all that food and fine wine going on as well, it's easy to forget the waistline, but I mean, who cares, we're on holiday. But
it's a good balance there.
Yeah, if you want to burn a few calories, then you absolutely can with us. We'll keep you fit and healthy. And all our shore excursions, like I said before, all included. It's just a case of you choosing what you'd want to do based on your own interests and mobility levels, and then away we go. So I think I have probably taken up, there's a lot of destination Dragon to get through. I'm taking up a lot of time with my section, sorry Dragon, but I'm going to pass over. And I think one of the big things about river cruise is this saying really sums it up: oceans take you to countries and rivers take you through them. And it's so true, you know, there is no more immersive way to see the cities, towns, villages that you're visiting than to sail right through them on the river. Panoramic scenery on both sides. You're never more than a couple of minutes from land, of course. Being able to step right off the ship into your port of call really is quite a special experience. We don't have any sort of embarkation or disembarkation queuing, anything like that, no difficult tenders to manoeuvre. So there's a lot of positives about the river cruise. And of course, I guess the big one going forward is space and low guest numbers. And that's what river cruise is all about. We've always been about that, but now more so than ever, these positives really kind of come into their own, and thank goodness we have them. So yeah, river cruise, it's immersive, it's interesting, it's as slow paced or as fast paced as you want it to be. And yeah, we can't think of a better way to travel. We're on all the rivers of Europe, including the Mekong, the Nile and the Chobe River, like I mentioned. But today we thought it would be great just to pick out a few of the rivers that we cruise on. Dragon's going to give you some highlights and a couple of highlights of these rivers and why they're interesting to sail there. And then we'll finish off with a quick Q&A. And that will be it. We'll let you get on with the rest of your evening and your dinner. So without further ado, Dragon, over to you. Sorry I've not left you much time, but away you go.
All good. So my apologies ahead of time if I speak a little too fast, but we want to give you a great insight, of course, of all our itineraries, journeys we do. And but just something you said, you know, with the rivers. When I started 11 years ago on with AmaWaterways on the rivers, I grew up in South Germany, close to the Rhine and the Danube River. And when I started, I had no idea what was in my backyard. Even I've been to many places, many cities, but just the difference you have while you're cruising literally crossing through a country, through many countries, it is just stunning. Well, I couldn't believe what I saw 11 years ago, and I'm kind of still there. But as I said, I grew up kind of close to the Rhine River, so we're gonna go first, I guess, to the Rhine, Main, and the Moselle rivers, and there are multiple itineraries. See in a map that might be a little bit overwhelming. The biggest part on the map would be, I would say, our classic Rhine itinerary, which connects Amsterdam and Basel in Switzerland. Which direction you want to go, we always offer that in both directions, be it upriver or downriver. But that would be our most classical, let's say, starting in Basel and then going, it feels weird going up north, but downstream towards Amsterdam, passing, of course, Switzerland, France, Germany, and then the Netherlands at the end. We have multiple possibilities to combine rivers, like the smaller rivers, like the Main River and the Moselle River, which are just nice, quaint little rivers. So you can go north, south, east, west, sail in hooks. Great way to visit many of those places. But let's say we start in Amsterdam, and Amsterdam is always I think it's just an amazing place to spend. Even if you've been to Amsterdam, we have, of course, an array of tours there and visits, even a pre-extension program in Amsterdam if you'd like. The lovely canals, obviously we will include the canal cruise, visits to the museums like the Rijksmuseum and the Van Gogh. But I would say Amsterdam is one of the best starting points. And although you're very close to it in the UK, I think it's always worth it maybe coming a day or two early at least, just to really arrive and then start with the lovely canals there before we continue to Germany. We have a couple of days, like one day in Amsterdam, and then we have the first really relaxed sailing to start off cruising. So we're about 300 kilometers till we get then to Cologne. And Cologne, I think, is just a wonderful place. We have the massive, impressive cathedral just there, and we're docked. If you see the little blue dome there, usually we're docked quite there, right there. So it's just a couple of minutes walk into the old town. Great for shopping, of course, bike tours along the Rhine River and so on. And I love this picture with the cherries in the springtime, but Cologne is also great, which applies literally to all itineraries in the different seasons. Same city, a whole different experience if you do either cruise in spring, summer, fall, a wine cruise, or going for the Christmas markets. Now, we really truly hope that the Christmas markets on this scale are going to be back soon with everything what's going on. But this is, I think, one of the most fabulous experiences, the lights, the smells, everything. I think it's, so if you've been to Cologne in summer, you should try in winter as well. Well, moving along a little bit to what I say is the essence of river cruising, which is here, the castles along the Rhine. Like on the Rhine River, we have this, what we call the Rhine Gorge. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, the Middle Rhine Valley. On a stretch of about 40 kilometers, we have about 40 castles left and right, and the most popular place to be is, of course, on our sun deck. My colleagues and me as cruise managers, we're giving live commentary, but we have also, of course, quiet places, so you don't have to hear for a couple of hours us permanently talking. There are quiet areas. You can use our GPS triggered commentary, but these sites are just stunning. Castles dating back to the 11th century, and just left and right on this tiny little stretch of the river. We spent fabulous hours in there. I think one of the greatest experiences before we then go on to our smaller places. We even do some castle visits in there, like in Lahnstein, for example. This is something where we, while we only see those castles, we also want to visit one, of course, while we're going through there. But going on, another magnificent cathedral in Strasbourg, another country, another big city we're going into. Strasbourg has, I think with little France, it's the perfect little place. It's just, I could spend days in Strasbourg just walking around. Again, the tours we offer, from bike tours, hike tours, really just shuttling into town if you want to spend your own time on your own there. I think it's absolutely fabulous around the little river, just around the old town of Strasbourg. Before we continue to Basel, our first or final stop. Basel, Switzerland, also home to many of our ships, as our European office sits in Basel there. I think this is a great starting or ending point. You can spend a couple of days before, after in Switzerland. Of course, we do more tours in Basel as well, so like the Red City Hall in the Basel city center. But it's just, again, we're 5 minutes away on foot from the city center. I think it's just fabulous to spend the time like that. So that just shortly above from the Rhine, and the Rhine is quite a big trade route and a big river, a lot of traffic there. But so we have the quaint rivers, if you like it a little, let's say, quieter. Moselle and Main River. The Moselle here, what we see, I think that's the most typical picture of the Moselle River. Small towns, very wine-oriented, high cliffs with the wine terraces there. I would say probably the best wine you can get in Germany is from the Moselle River, very popular there, our wine cruises. And this is just, again, a whole different experience, just moving from the big, mighty Rhine to a small side river like the Moselle or the Main. But I think just to give you a couple of more pictures, like Cochem is one of our favorite places here. I think there we go, with the Imperial Castle, the Reichsburg, which we're going to visit. You can either hike up there or we take you up there by bus, really up to your activity level. And you see the ships docked down there right on the small river. It's a wonderful experience to go on these smaller rivers as well. And just as an example, the Main River, just as quaint as the Moselle River, is also the connector to the Danube and the Rhine-Main-Danube Canal. Würzburg here with the Residence Palace up on the hill, also a fantastic place. We spent also in many and almost all places spent in really enough time that you can join a tour, you can enjoy some free time on your own and really explore yourself. That, I think it's a lovely way to explore also a little bit of the side branches. It's like, other than driving only on the highway, branching out a little bit left and right, I think it's always a fantastic idea. But as I said, we're connecting from the Main River. We can connect to the Danube through the canal built in the 90s. And then I think, and Joanne, we've done that one together a couple of times on the Danube River. The Danube is close to home. My part of the family coming from Serbia. So we have many itinerary options, but to start with, we have, let's separate that into the upper Danube, going from Bilshofen, very close to the Austrian border, and down to Budapest. I would say this is probably one of our most popular itineraries, if not the most popular itinerary. And then further on, you can also do the whole Danube cruisable Danube from Budapest further down to Romania, Bulgaria, crossing Croatia, Serbia. I think it's, and we're going to get to that one. It's going to be a great experience. This part of Europe, I think it's the best way to experience that way. So we're starting first in Budapest. Again, how you choose where you start is always up to you. We always go in both directions. And Budapest, what's to say there? It's the wonderful capital of Hungary with this amazing parliament building. We are docked right in the city center, in the heart of the on the Pest side, on the flat side, where we have all our visits and the typical Budapest city tour. If you've never been, you want to join, but it's also really just walk off the ship a couple of meters here in that fantastic market hall, Budapest market hall, where you can taste your way through Hungary if you like. I think this is a great start for a cruise. Before we go to a little, I call it a little hidden gem of between the big ones, Budapest and Vienna, is Bratislava, the capital of Slovakia. A wonderful old town, again, but docked right in the heart of the city. Here we see just the President's Palace, which you can hike up to. It's a great visit up there. Whether the president's there to shake hands with you, we'll see. But it's a great experience, this little town. We spend about a half a day. It's a tiny capital, one of the smallest capital, before we get to Imperial Vienna. Now, Vienna, we see here the Hofburg Palace, the Winter Palace. I think there is so much. I think we could have a webinar only on Vienna. The amount of things you can do there, all those museums, the wonderful Baroque style buildings, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Spanish riding school, which is located right actually here in this building, which is lovely to visit, which we're happy to help arrange. And just you're spending the whole day there, always at least a full day. It's an amazing experience. Well, what I do recommend there is a little bit of activity, going maybe for a bike ride through one of the great parks there in and around Vienna, and definitely the concert at night, our classical concert in the City of Music. Again, when we talk seasons, Vienna is wonderful in spring and summer. I lived there for a couple of years, but my favorite time, I think, it's Christmas again. And the picture says it all. We have the city hall here with I would say the biggest Christmas market in Vienna there. However, Vienna has 23 Christmas markets and New Year's markets going through there. So every district, Vienna having 23 districts or 23 Christmas markets there. Everyone a little different. The Schönbrunn Palace, a very arts and crafts market. We have small markets where it's more, I'd say, lively and it's more about the degustation of mulled wine rather than little trinkets. But so there is really something for everyone. We visit a couple of them. And of course, there's plenty of time to visit more on your own. And then similar to, I think similar to the Rhine, we have also on the Danube Valley, we have the Wachau Valley. I believe most famous for their very typical Austrian wine is called the Grüne Veltliner, and also their fabulous apricot production in that area. And they're that famous. They're actually geological protected there to name it Marille. It's a fantastic thing. We do apricot and wine tastings in the whole area. Again, you have lovely views from either your Turm balcony or up from the sun deck with a lovely little drink from our crew, and then just walk off once we dock, walk off into one of those little charming towns. Like the next one, which we're going to, is Dürnstein. Now, Dürnstein, Dürnstein is an absolutely amazing place. I think it has about 384 inhabitants, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but somewhere there. And most of them, what we see here, this blue church tower. And I think this is one of the most taken pictures along the Danube, is passing through here. The Abbey of Dürnstein with this Baroque blue church tower. And something which we can't see right now, just it's under the word Dürnstein. There is a little ruined castle up there, which we invite you to hike up there, either full way, halfway with our wellness host. But this ruined castle there, Dürnstein, being so small, quite important at times, as Richard the Lionheart was imprisoned there for about 2 years on his way back from the Crusades. So quite some history there. So it was quaint, and now we're going back to another city of music. We can't go by ship to Salzburg. We would love to, but we don't fit on the in-river there yet. But I think it's one of the most amazing cities you could visit from the river cruise. It's usually about an hour drive away from the ship, and of course, again, it's included just to spend time at the birthplace of Mozart, visit his house where he lived in, and really just enjoy the spectacular city with the lovely gardens, the castle, and of course a little bit of Sound of Music playing in there as well. And then once from there, we leave Austria and make our way to Passau. Now, Passau, I always call it the little Manhattan in southeast Bavaria, with the little island going up there. This is where the Danube, as we know it, is really formed. The Danube is the city of three rivers. You see our ship just turning around after the bridge to go inside, the brighter one. And this is actually not Photoshop. This is the really way these rivers look like, the in-river coming from the Austrian Alps, carrying a lot of chalk and limestone, which makes it greenish. And then the Danube coming from the Black Forest area, a little darker. And this is just at the tip of the island where the colors of the two rivers mix and then find the Danube. And the little Ilz River, not to be forgotten. We don't want to upset the little one over there. It's a great city and a starting point or ending point in Bavaria. But again, a very well visited place. But we have one more, and this is our home port in Bavaria, I would say, the town of Vilshofen. Now, here a little bit in the distance, Vilshofen, if you may or may not have heard of it. For those of you who like Pilsner beer, for example, that was created from a gentleman here from Vilshofen. He did it in the end in the Czech Republic, but created there. So, of course, I would say Vilshofen, our home port, where many of our ships are christened, I think it's a great place also to experience Bavarian culture. We have our exclusive Oktoberfest only for our AmaWaterways guests there. We have some typical Bavarian music, dances. The Beer Queen town royalty is joining us. So great way to start or end your cruise there. But as I said, we can continue. If we would have gone the other way around from Vilshofen to Budapest, we can, of course, continue further southeast and go through a part of Europe I would say is always a little mystique almost. It's hard to access. It's many has been to Croatia on the coast and so on, but very few have actually gone through the country. And as I said, it's sometimes a bit complicated if you do it by car or train and so on. I think the best way is really to experience that whole area on a river cruise. You arrive in Budapest, you unpack once, and then you just let yourself impress with these amazing countryside and cities we see there, like here in Novi Sad. This is very close to my heart. This is where my parents are from, or very close to Novi Sad. A lovely, underestimated city, in the second largest city in Serbia. It's, I don't know what to say. It's Baroque buildings, very lively, but at the same time, while it is lively, quaint and quiet as well at times. Absolutely a great experience before we then go on to a little place which is new to our itineraries this year, next year, is a visit to Golubac's fortress. This is on the way, after the visit to Belgrade, we're visiting Golubac's fortress. It was a mighty fortification against the invasion of the Ottoman Empire. It didn't help much, but it is just along the river while we're sailing by. I think it's an amazing stop we do there. before we go through the Iron Gates. Now, the Iron Gates, we call them the Iron Gates. The Iron Gates is a combination of the Kazan Gorge, which we see here, with that 60-meter tall face of King Decebalus, of the Dacian king, on the Romanian side. So actually what you see here is on the left side where you see the stone face, that's Romania, and on the right hand side would be Serbia. So we're going through this gorge. We pass the Iron Gates, the two largest hydroelectric power plants and lock operations in Europe we pass. I think it's amazing to see that way, something you cannot even access by road. So best way is really the river, and then visiting also Romania and Bulgaria. Well, those are just a few, but also in Bulgaria, I would say it's a little bit like a mix of Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones when you travel through that area. Like this picture here, the Belogracic fortress, a fortification built inside to this rock. And I guess we all have to thank the Ottoman Empire invasion a little bit for all these fortifications and beautiful places that we have now to visit. It is absolutely stunning. And then again, after the cruise, you might even want to continue to mystical Transylvania or even to Istanbul. So multiple options you have there, but I think a fabulous place to experience. But the Ama Magna, I guess, Joanne, that would be your call now.
Yes, thank you. I thought we're still going to whip through the Rhone in the south of France and the Douro, everyone. So stay tuned for that. But we just wanted to show you the Ama Magna because we've spoke about it a couple of times. And like Dragan said about Vienna being a presentation on itself, Ama Magna is very much probably a topic for a cruise event on its own, but I just wanted to show you it because she does sail on the Danube River. So as we've just been speaking about the Danube, I wanted to show our very special double width ship. So Ama Magna, she was brand new in 2019 when I was lucky enough to sail, and of course Dragan was my cruise manager at that time as well. Of course, unfortunately, she didn't even get to sail out last year, so she's still pretty much brand new. She's only done one year on the rivers, and she's sailing that beautiful itinerary between Budapest and Vilshofen or reverse, and also she's doing a few sailings, not so many, but a few sailings on that lower Danube section as well that Dragan just took us through. And really more space, more luxury, that's really what sums Ama Magna up. She's completely unique, one of a kind, twice as wide as all the other ships in our fleet, but only carrying 196 guests. So it's really only about 30 to 40 guests more than our standard width ships take. And the impressive thing about Ama Magna is just the sheer size and the space that you've got. I mean, you can imagine up on the sun deck, in fact, you can see in that photo, it's almost, well, it is exactly like having two ships glued together and having all that extra space. I'll take you through a few sort of photos of the interiors, but here's the upper lounge bar area. So if you sort of compare it to the picture of the Ama Christina that I showed you before, where you've got the sort of longish bar in the centre of the lounge, the Magna has such a width that we can have this very wide bar in the centre, lounge areas at each side, floor-to-ceiling panoramic windows. And actually a feel that you get with the Ama Magna when you step on board, and something that we talk a lot about at the minute, is this feel of stepping onto a small luxury ocean going cruise ship. You know, if any of you have done some of your smaller luxury cruise lines out on the oceans, Ama Magna has a very similar feel. So we've got all these extra public spaces to relax aside from the main lounge area. The balcony accommodation is much bigger as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, we have amazingly sized staterooms on our standard ships, well above the river cruise average. But on Ama Magna, we really just go for it. It's an SA or SB grade balcony stateroom coming in at 355 square foot. All but 12 staterooms on Ama Magna have a full outside balcony. And it just really is a beautiful ship. There's the sun deck, so they're actually my own photos that I took when I was on board, so you can see the kind of vast amount of space that you've got to go out there. And for some reason I've taken the picture of the pool out, but we do have a lovely big sized pool up there, and the pop-up sky bar as well, which we use often for sip and sail in the summer, or kind of special occasions up on the sun deck. And there's some of our fantastic crew looking very very happy to be up there. I'm sure that they are counting the days until they're back on that sun deck serving at the bar. And of course, our wellness activities still run throughout. We've got this huge gym, also known as our Zen Wellness Studio. That would be the more 5-star name for it, I think. Sort of utilising all this extra space. So we'd usually have our chef's table at the aft of our ships. But at the back of AmaMagna, we have Zen Wellness Studio on one side and the wellness bar on the other side. So that's a really nice quiet space off away from the main lounge, where you can have teas, coffees, fruit juices, and just relax. The windows come down as well, and the ceiling retracts. But we do still have the chef's table. In fact, not only do we have the chef's table, but we have 3 other restaurants as well. And this is the icing on the cake, so to speak, for AmaMagna. So we've got the main restaurant, the alfresco restaurant, which is at the very front of the ship. The chef's table restaurant, which is the same concept as on our other ships. It's just bigger, as is everything on Magna. And also our really intimate Jimmy's wine bar as well, which is a kind of cozy jazz type tapas and wine bar. So many options, all included. No supplements to dine in any of these restaurants. And something that we keep likening it to, like I said before, is that ocean cruise feel. And Dragan, you've cruise managed on this amazing ship for more than one sailing. How do you feel it differs? It does have a very different feel to it, but it still comes across as very intimate, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's in the very beginning, I have to be honest, when I stopped first time on AmaMagna, just a few days before the inaugural sailing, I was quickly a little intimidated. I was like, oh my God, because of course on the river it was a unique size of a ship. However, with just a very, very small increase of gas capacity towards our other ships, we're going on a double wide ship. Compared to some of our friendly competitors with the exact same amount as they would go on a single ship. And the amount of restaurants you have, you get very quickly, it's a little bit wider. I always make the joke that if you're sitting on this side of the lounge or on this side of the lounge, it would be you would be actually on 2 different vessels on any other of our ships or any other company. So it was a great experience. It's still the same family atmosphere. Just got more choices. You have more the Zen Wellness Studio, where we have a proper while we have gyms on every other ship. It's a great way you can do classes properly there. We have lovely massage rooms and therapy rooms. It is really stunning, and the whole concept of everything being open and accessible, like the alfresco restaurants, where you can put the windows down, retract the ceiling, to make that a really, really great experience, but also not losing the whole space if the weather may not be with us one day. But and every theme, everything is so well thought through. It's an amazing vessel.
It really is. And I mean, there's the itinerary that she does on the Danube. I mean, there's no better itinerary really. That is the kind of heart and soul of river cruising on that section of the Danube. So it's a great one to do. We can't have the AmaMagna on all the rivers in Europe, or we might do. Rudy might go for that one day, but at the minute she is restricted just to the upper and lower Danube. So if you're looking, if you like the look of this, then yeah, get in touch with Swords Travel and they can have a look into some Danube itineraries for you. Anyway, thanks so much as well, by the way, everyone, for staying on to listen. I really appreciate that. I know we've been going just under an hour and it's 8 o'clock in the evening. It is my fault. I was meant to speak for only 15 minutes and I did half an hour. Same thing every time, isn't it, Dragan? But there's just so much to tell you. We don't want to miss anything off, but we're going to finish off just with the French rivers. Well, actually, we've just picked out one river, haven't we, Dragan? Because there's three fantastic rivers in France, which I'll pass over to you on now. But we just wanted to focus in on the Rhone and the Saône with you. Dragan will take through a couple of highlights, quick chat to you about the Douro, and then we'll wrap things up. So thank you so much for sticking with us. And Dragan, I'll pass back to you to take us through the beautiful French rivers of the Rhone and the Saône.
Perfect. So, well, like Joanne said, we have more itineraries, like also in Normandy and also the Bordeaux region for the wine lovers. But I think it's Joanne and my favorite cruise in France is really also the new itinerary with the Saône and Rhone River. We just sent the Ama Christina to France. She will start this year with this new itinerary, and also the Amacello. We have 2 ships now on the Rhone and Saône, which is great. Again, the Rhone being the bigger sister, and then the Saône, the little one, more quaint. So we're combining both rivers. I think a little bit of Burgundy, Provence, the Alpine area, and then all the way down to Arles, the southern France, the Mediterranean feel. I think it's the variety of this. I always call France a little bit of a mini continent, starting like in places like Dijon. We all know Dijon from the world famous mustard, but let's not reduce it to that. It is a lovely place to visit. A typical, I would say, Burgundy city with obviously a lot of history, that charm of that typical French small town area, same like Mâcon, which is I think on the next slide if I'm not mistaken. With these typical French architecture, the towers, but you see already we're changing already while going south from Dijon, Mâcon, and so we're change a little bit of scenery, very Roman architecture there. Bears-le-Châtel, a wonderful castle in the gardens with a view over the valley there is absolutely stunning, and that everything close to the lovely Burgundy area, like Villefranche-sur-Saône on the next one. And that shows a little bit the way of the Saône River. And I think it's just amazing to cruise with Amacello on this one through this area. It's absolutely stunning. And of course, while still on the Saône and talking about wine, and I think wine lovers are well taken care of there, all the way from Burgundy, passing Beaujolais close to Lyon, with the Beaujolais wines, where we visit the so-called golden villages, passing then through Lyon, the fantastic capital of gastronomy, where the Saône and the Rhone River are meeting. We spent a good day there as well on our Saône and Rhone itinerary, a little longer even on our Rhone only itinerary. It's a fabulous city to visit, and gastronomical. Unbelievable, to be honest. Places like the Bocuse restaurants and so on and so forth. But then going further south on the Rhone, lovely little places, and this is taken up from Montpipet. This is Vienne, a lovely Roman city, Roman architecture, 2,000-year-old temple standing in the middle of a lovely square surrounded by cafes, the wonderful amphitheater we have there, and then it keeps coming on this itinerary. One day beats the next, I always say. And again, doesn't matter in which direction you go. But Avignon, we all heard or sang the song. We even do a little cruise just next to the bridge. It's not a full bridge anymore, so we can cruise quite close to it just to get a better look and sing the lovely Sur le Pont d'Avignon song. In the background, we have the Palace of the Popes, while it was actually the seat of the Popes for quite some time. This surrounded walled city of Avignon, absolutely amazing. And then of course all the way to the south of France in the Provence we have Arles, which is with almost Colosseum-sized amphitheater there, all the Roman history here. And I think the whole itinerary gives you so much variety from the Saône, from Burgundy area all the way to southern France, and you can extend, you can continue maybe to Monaco, to Nice, or to Barcelona, which is not too far away from here if you want to come for a visit. But of course, not to forget, we also have the Douro River. And John, France is absolutely stunning, and the Rhone and Saône River probably our favorite ones. But here the Douro River is something special, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And although I have not been on the Douro River, it's on my bucket list. I want to go this year when we're back sailing, fingers crossed. But yeah, I really, really would love to do the Douro. So I'm always really interested when you talk about this one, because it's one that I've not done. The Rhone is my favourite, I must admit. I do have a little favoritism for the Rhone, but yeah, the Douro, I think if I get to go on here, it will surpass. But yeah, let's have a look at some photos.
Yeah.
What have we got?
Absolutely. Well, the Douro Valley, again, we have multiple options. It's a short river. We also have a smaller ship there, and the AmaDouro, lovely, also built just a few years ago. We can have a round trip from Porto to the Spanish border and back, or a one-way trip with Lisbon, Madrid involved, which is a little bit of slower pace cruise, I would say, although it's very short river. In any case, it's going to be a very relaxing voyage. But Portugal, and especially in these times, that might be even something, while restrictions are up, cruising will come back soon, that's for sure. Just the when is the question, but we're well prepared to go, especially inside one certain country. And while we're not do a lot of cross-country, it's like going, let's say, all the way from Amsterdam to Budapest, which you can do in 2 weeks, but it's crossing a lot of countries. We may have still restrictions going. So if you want to spend time in one country, Portugal, and if you've been to place, the Douro Valley is, I would say, the nicer, warmer southern version of the Moselle and the Main River, or the Sun. Wonderful wines, our amazing crew there on the AmaDouro, and this is just a dream, I have to say. Of course, we're in Portugal. We're visiting Porto. We're having port wine. We're visiting all the places. I think Porto is just a city where you can spend ages. I mean, look, it's so colorful, quaint, and still lively. Always something going on. The typical fado music players we can visit in the evenings. We're going to a lot of places which are, we get really local cultural experiences, like here in Pinhão, for example. It is just a very on such a small river, and in terms of distance, it's unbelievable that from one little port to the other, the experience is a really immersive experience of Portugal, I would say. So, Joanne, you should absolutely do that.
Yeah, I think it looks really different, and I must say that I think the weather factor for the Douro is really appealing. Having said that, I have done the Rhine in November, and I know you will have been on the ships at that time of year, Dragon, but it was really, really lovely. I think it was late October, early November. It was absolutely gorgeous. I mean, yes, it wasn't kind of sit out and sunbathe, you know, in your shorts and t-shirt weather, but we had bright blue skies. It was dry, all the sort of autumnal colours, and it was absolutely glorious. And I think that kind of October, November period is a really, really nice time to go. And actually, absolutely. I've got a special, something a bit special to show you all in a couple of slides time as well, if you do fancy going at that time of year. But Dragon, thank you so much for taking us through and bringing those destinations to life in a very short time frame. Again, I didn't leave you very long, but we've still got the same audience that joined us that are still on now. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
That must mean that we're slightly interesting, Dragon, or definitely you are. Just before we wrap up with a Q&A, everyone, so literally 5 minutes and then we'll let you get on. Just wanted to remind you all that your holiday doesn't have to end with a cruise. In fact, more so now on the new bookings we're taking for later this year and next year, we're finding that I guess they're adding on more and more pre and post land extensions to their river cruises, and really making it into making that 7-night cruise into a 10-11 night cruise and land experience. So the list is endless. I mean, for every cruise that we've got, there are pre and post options. Just to pick out a couple of popular ones, Lake Como is brand new. That's combinable with our Rhine Castles and Swiss Alps itinerary, which was new for this year. So you can spend 3 nights at Lake Como at the beginning or end of your cruise. So that's a pretty special one. Lisbon, which is combinable with our Douro river cruises in Portugal, which Dragan's just spoken about. And as well, I mean, Istanbul, that one is really different, and that's combinable with our Gems of Southeast Europe itinerary that ends down in sort of Bucharest area. So some really interesting pre and post land options to add on, and the great thing about these is they're escorted by our cruise managers. So like Dragan mentioned before, our cruise manager will actually meet you at the hotel in Lake Como, for example, take you through the 3-night Lake Como pre-cruise extension, travel with you to the ship, be your cruise manager for the whole week on board, and then perhaps you're doing an Amsterdam extension at the end as well, in which case your cruise manager will be there. So yeah, escorted, shore excursions are included, as are meals. Usually it's bread and breakfast basis on the land extensions and the odd lunch. But yeah, a really great way to enhance your cruise with us. And just to sort of finish off on a Q&A, and then I'm just going to shout Mark back in as well, just to round things off with us. I hope Mark's still there. It would be funny if I didn't know if you might have gone to bed.
No, I'm still here.
Mark, thanks so much for letting us share our product with your customers this evening. Just a couple of questions. And one of them I was going to ask you as well, because obviously you've been on board with us, but one of the questions was about evening entertainment. So are the ships moored overnight, and can you get off the boat on an evening after dinner? Well, yes, you absolutely can. I mean, Mark, we were moored in Budapest when we were on board, weren't we? And yeah, you could absolutely, in fact, I don't know if you did. I don't know if you were one of the ones that got off and parted in Budapest after dinner, but you can do it if you want, can't you? It's really accessible.
Yes, that was me. I was one of the last ones back on the ship, I think. It was quite late, but you know what? It's great because where the ships are located as well, I think you guys get some of the key places on the port. So I think, and I think that's a big advantage over some of the competitors, because you see some of them are quite far back or far down. But we were literally straight in the heart of Budapest. It was amazing.
Yeah, and absolutely after dinner, I mean, Dragan, you very much encourage our guests to explore ashore, don't you, after dinner, or if Absolutely. They want to have a walk and go to a local bar for a drink or something?
Of course. Well, we do have, of course, evening entertainment on board. We have our onboard musician. We have local entertainers coming in, which very often I always say it's absolutely stunning what talent we have those along the rivers. Also, bit from a classical concert on board to folklore experiences, but of course, while we're docked in the evenings and sometimes overnight, yes, absolutely go out, experience such a different experience. We're there, so it's literally like walking out of your home and you're there. So on your home away from home, really a couple of steps, you're back out, even for just a little walk along the river, or maybe for a drink or 2 or 12 in Budapest. It's stunning.
Oh, it's so, honestly, talking about this, I'll just want to get back out there on the rivers. I know Dragan does more than anyone.
And we know some good places. Like that's something you want to ask your cruise manager. It's 75 of us by now, but every single one of us, we have always our little secret places in our pocket, which we're happy to give away to only our guests.
Yeah, so your cruise manager is the person to ask for those little secrets and gems of the towns and cities. And actually, someone has asked the question, the golden question: when will we be resuming sailing? Well, whenever we can.
Whenever we can. The sooner the better. But you know what? I want to say that it looks daily better and better, to be honest. The numbers are falling, restriction, we hear a lot of chatter, and we're ready. We're ready to go as soon as somebody says you're allowed to go, we're ready to go. So we'll be there and ready for you. But I'm always an optimistic person, so I'm pretty sure we're going to be sooner than we think we will.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like Dragon said, we're ready to go. You know, we have our crew and cruise managers, and actually Dragon and the rest of our cruise managers have been presenting on these virtual cruise events with us for the past year. We've all been using the time to learn and top up our knowledge and keep passionate about the product and make sure that when we return to the rivers, we're all as enthusiastic as ever. So I feel like the experience on board is going to be extra special actually when we get sailing again, and definitely never taken for granted ever again. So yeah, we'll be back soon. Mark, you'll be the first to know. I'll give you a ring the day that I find out when we're sailing. But yeah, hopefully sooner rather than later. And then just lastly, someone's asked about the sort of flexibility policy. I'll just touch on that. We have a couple of different options, but firstly, we are so completely flexible and understanding if arrangements need to change. We have a policy called the Ultimate Cruise Protection, and it actually allows you to amend, change or postpone your cruise at the moment up to 48 hours before you go. So there's protection in place there, and even if it's a case of it's just because you don't feel comfortable traveling, anything like that, if you've got the Ultimate Cruise Protection there, it just gives you a little bit of flexibility. But we're really understanding, and really we work on every booking individually. It's not a kind of one size fits all policy that's set in stone. We'll work with your agent at Swords Travel to come up with something that you'll be happy with and comfortable with. So yeah, you can trust us absolutely 100%. And I just wanted to show you, actually, we've got no more questions at the minute, but if there are any that come through in the coming days, then just get in touch with your agent at Swords. I just wanted to let everyone know that we are completely on sale for this year, next year and the year after, and believe it or not, 2023 is booking up. There's still plenty of space, don't worry, but yes, people are booking holidays for 2023, which I think is great. So yeah, don't be afraid to think ahead, especially for river cruising. I mean, you know, the ships are small, it's limited numbers, especially rivers like the Douro. We've only got a couple of ships down there. It's really, really popular. So for something like that, or even the south of France, you know, where again we've only got a couple of ships, it's definitely worth perhaps looking a bit further ahead. But that's not to say we don't have something for you, you know, later this year. If you are looking to go, then we can absolutely do our best to fit you in. Various different offers. At the moment, we're actually doing free flights to and from the UK on a range of departures across Europe in 2022. And actually a really special offer that we've selected especially for Swords Travel, and only for anyone that's attended the event this evening and given us an hour and 20 minutes of their time. It's going this year. If you just want to get away on that river cruise this year, and actually I mentioned the sort of October, November sailings earlier, you can have a really, really beautiful time at this time of year. We've got our 7-night Nuremberg to Amsterdam itinerary on the AmaPrima. And on the 9th of November 2021, we've got an exclusive price, including flights and transfers from the UK in a French balcony stateroom as well, now from just 2,249. The current retail fare is 3,334 on that one, so it's a huge saving of over £1,000 per person. I know this year might not be for everyone, but if you fancy it and you fancy doing that section of the Rhine, then that's exclusively for you. And I'll send the details through to Mark in the morning, and perhaps he can follow up with anyone that would like to get involved with that itinerary, or any others for that matter. And we're also doing an exclusive saving of £150 per couple for anything else. So if you don't particularly want that specific departure that I showed you, not to worry, you can go at anything else that we have, and we'll also give you an exclusive saving of £150 per couple as well. So you just need to pick up the phone or email your river cruise specialist at Swords, and they'll be able to take care of you. Well, we're at the end. I didn't think we'd ever get there. Thank you so much, Dragan. Thank you, Mark. I really enjoyed that. It's always such a pleasure to sit and talk about the product. Dragan, thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure, absolutely. Thank you for having me. Also, Mark, thank you for hosting that wonderful event.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you, guys. No, it's been great, and I've got a list of things that I really want to do. I want to go on the Jura River. I definitely want to do the Cologne German market because that looks amazing, and AmaMagnet looks stunning. It took me back actually. The first night when we ate on the ship was at the chef's table, and the food was amazing.
Incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely incredible.
So we can have a reminder.
I know. Thank you so much, guys, for hosting. We've really enjoyed it. And obviously, if anybody does want any more information, please don't hesitate to get in contact with whoever your Swords Travel associate is, or myself, or any of the team. We'll be happy to help.
Fantastic. Right. Well, thank you, everyone. Good night, and hopefully we'll welcome you on board soon. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Have a nice evening.
Everyone. Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.